What do you think are the top 5 regrets of the terminally ill? And even if you knew the answer to that, how will it help you to choose the best path for your own life? Well, what kind of sick joke am I trying to play on you now? No joke. I take this deadly seriously. Now that's a joke. Patrick here. This is Step 2, Module A, My Obituary. In this module, in Week 1 of Step 2, it's all about writing your own obituary. The prerequisite to this module is reading the memoir titled The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware. The book's about 300 pages, reads like a person's history and relationships because, well, that's exactly what it is. In Bronnie's case, she was a caregiver to terminally ill people, and her clients shared with her their regrets before they died. Kind of depressing, but at the same time, very enlightening. And there's a lot that we can learn from recognizing these regrets. This memoir will get you into the correct frame of mind for the paradigm change that comes with writing your own obituary. And if you haven't read the assignment yet, please stop the video now and come back after completing the book. This obituary exercise is like an aspirational guide for the rest of your life. And the reason I want you to do this is to change your paradigm, your point of view, so you can place yourself into your own future. And this is to get you to see your life's possibilities. After completing this module, you'll be able to define what a paradigm is, be able to create a model life timeline, determine your imaginary date of death, envision yourself in the future looking back on your life, and to write an obituary by answering some fundamental questions about yourself. Here are all the materials that you need to complete this module. First, the aforementioned book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware. Worksheet 2 titled A Obituary. Print this out or refer to it online. I've texted you a link to it. About 15 feet of light-colored painter's masking tape, or just, regular old masking tape. You can use an entire roll. Go buy an entire roll if you want, but you're only going to use about 10 to 15 feet of it. 4 blank sheets of white 8.5 by 11 paper. A black Sharpie or bold pen to write on the paper. A regular pen or pencil to fill out the blanks on the worksheet. And a room where you can lay down about 8 to 10 feet of masking tape, kind of like this. You're going to want to smooth a floor like a garage floor or kitchen tile or a bedroom or something, but not with carpeting. Carpeting won't work very well. You're also going to want this video, probably on your phone, playing to complete the exercises. Be ready to pause and play as we go along with the instructions. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of your obituary, I want to talk about paradigms. A paradigm is like a map or a model of one type of reality. It's the way we perceive, understand, and interpret the world we're in. I want you to have a look at a drawing to show you how your paradigm can shift. And as I said before, allowing your paradigm to shift into the future will help you write a good obituary. So here is a common optical illusion that will demonstrate a paradigm shift. When you first look at this, what do you see? Take a good look and pause the video if you like. Do you see an old woman with a big nose facing to the left? Or do you see a young woman facing away from you? What you see first depends on your conditioning. The conditioning of your life affects your perceptions and paradigms. Here you can see the outline of the old woman's nose. Do you see it? Here's the old woman's eye, and here's her mouth, and here's her chin. This outline could also be seen as the jawline of the young woman, or here, this line serves as either the mouth of the old woman or a necklace on the young woman. This is the ear of the young woman, and her nose is just barely visible. This is the neckline of her dress. This picture portrays both the old woman and the young woman simultaneously. So now I think you have kind of a bit of a realization that our paradigms affect how we interact. And it's interaction not just with other people, but also with ourselves. You see, we tend to see things as they are, believing we are objective observers. We see the world not as it is, but as we are conditioned to see it. So, for example, if you're a parent, you probably had a huge, major, fundamental shift in your paradigm of the way you see your life once your child was born. Because having a kid means a whole different level of commitment and caring for this little, helpless life that you created. Paradigm shifting could, of course, be a whole module by itself, but we don't have time for that, so we're going to get back to your obituary.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Writing your obituary sets you up for writing your prime directive in the last module of Step 2. After all, meeting your destiny requires you to live your life intentionally, not by accident. You might realize that you're on a wrong course, so now is when you change course. So let's get on with writing the exercise. Pause the video here and go collect all the stuff that are the requirements for this module. This masking tape will only be on the floor for about an hour or so. Of course, you can keep it on the floor forever if you want it as some sort of memorial. That's completely up to you. Here's an overhead layout of what it looks like when finished. This tape line is a model of your life's timeline, and with your birth date at one end and your imaginary date of death at the other. Don't work ahead, please. Just follow the instructions. You'll need about 2 feet of cushion at the beginning and end of the line of tape. Lay down the masking tape on the floor in a straight line for about 10 feet. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight, doesn't have to be perfectly 10 feet either. Make a decision on what end you'll label as the beginning. Put down some tape perpendicular to the timeline at what you're calling the beginning end, like this. Put down a perpendicular tape line at the end. Now guess at where you think the middle of the line is located. Put down a third perpendicular tape line near the middle, but slightly towards the beginning side. The beginning end is your birth date. The middle is today, and the end is your imaginary date of death. Now grab the worksheet, A Obituary, and write in your birth date. You should take a few minutes to think about this next one, your date of death. Pause the video to think about this for a bit. Once you determine that, write it in, but don't answer the other questions yet. Take one of the pieces of paper and fold it into a little tent. Write your birth date on it and place this tent at what you labeled the beginning end of the line. Take a second piece of paper, also fold that into a tent and write your imaginary date of death on it and place this tent at the end of your timeline. Take the third piece of paper, also into a tent, and write your age and today's date on it. Place this tent near the middle tape mark of your timeline. Your model should look something like this. Now take your worksheet and your regular pen and stand behind the end of the model, behind the date of death. And while you stand there, look down on the timeline. Look at the beginning, your birth date. Then look at the middle paper tent. That's today. So the space between your birthday and today, well, that represents all the years you've been alive. Now look at the end of the timeline by your feet. See all the years you hopefully have left before you die? This space is your opportunity to change course if you want. This block of all the years and years is where you meet your destiny. But what about the fourth piece of paper? Well, I didn't forget. Make that into a tent as well and write it as My Destiny. This tent does not have a date on it on purpose. Place this somewhere near the middle, but toward the date of death side. Something like this, not too far from the today marker. A spot you might think of as maybe 5 to 10 years from today. And so before you freak out realizing that meeting your destiny is that far off, remember I told you at the beginning that meeting your destiny doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of work. And going through this program is a part of that work. Time to complete the worksheet. The first question. Your single greatest accomplishment. Think of this as your greatest contribution to society or to family or whatever. Pause the video and answer this question. It's a tough one, and you might even need more than a day or two to think about it. So answer that and come back to this video. This next one is easier. 3 things your friends would say about you. Pause and write in the answer. For the last one, we have all developed relationships with people who really don't like us too much, or that they try to take advantage of us. I'm labeling these people as adversaries, or you could even call them enemies if you want. Pause and fill out this one. Now for the last question, and it's a hard one. Take some time to think through this now that your point of view has changed. 3 things you wish you could have done before you died. So the last time, pause the video and answer the question. So what do you think, huh? Some tough questions. Absolutely. And sometimes it takes people a few days just to go through all of these questions. And whatever time it took you, that's fine. It's each person is individual. So when you're standing in the space after your death, your paradigm likely did shift to a new point of view, right? Be ready to discuss your experience and your answers in our next one-on-one session. And be proud of yourself for answering these really tough questions. And I can't wait to hear what you had to say about yourself.